For over a century, the blueprint of a classroom has looked exactly like this: rows of identical desks, a single authority figure at the front, and a standardized expectation to sit, listen, and memorize. But this identical setup creates a glaring discrepancy. You can place 30 kids in the exact same room, looking at the exact same chalkboard, and while a few will easily absorb the lesson, others will hit a complete wall. The breakdown happens because of a mechanical assumption. The traditional model operates as if every human brain takes in information the exact same way, acting like an audio recorder that only needs to passively listen to written text to understand it. Relying strictly on that single channel leaves a massive gap in how kids process the world. They might hold on to enough facts to pass a Friday test, but that fragile memory fades fast, leaving them without any real, usable comprehension of the subject. In the 1980s, psychologist Howard Gardner proposed a different framework. He argued human intelligence isn't a single rigid metric you can score on a test. Instead, his theory of multiple intelligences outlines distinct cognitive profiles. Some people are highly linguistic, navigating the world through language. Others are visual spatial, requiring images and maps to connect ideas. Or bodily kinesthetic, needing physical movement and touch to lock in new concepts. Now, compare those diverse profiles to the standard chalk and board setup. The linguistic learner does fine, but the visual learner is struggling to translate abstract words, and the physical learner is essentially locked out of the lesson entirely. As the saying goes, if a child cannot learn the way we teach, we must teach the way the child learns. Correcting this imbalance requires tearing down the single track method, replacing it with an environment that actively mirrors how the human brain actually processes information. Academic Astra takes Gardner's cognitive theory and turns it into a daily routine, built on one central rule: teach one topic in multiple ways. Look closely at Phase 1. Structured textbooks and practice workbooks provide a baseline, targeting linguistic and logical mathematical learners directly. To see how this sequence works, let's track a single mathematical concept, fractions, through the entire system. In a traditional school, the chalk and workbook phase is where the lesson ends. Here, that is simply the starting line. Anchoring fractions in numbers and text is a necessary first step, but on its own, it leaves the rest of the room's cognitive profiles behind. The concept has to keep moving. That brings us to Phase 2, the physical translation. Students step away from the desks to slice a real apple into 4 exact quarters. By handling the object directly, bodily kinesthetic learners instantly grasp the tactile difference between pieces, bridging a physical gap that the traditional chalkboard simply couldn't cross. Next is Phase 3. The school layers in digital tools and interactive software. A visual spatial learner can log into the mobile app and manipulate those animated fractions at their own pace, reviewing the exact parts they find confusing. Finally, the idea moves into the real world. Whether it's measuring liquids in a beaker or mapping out distances on a field trip, students use math to solve practical problems in physical space. By forcing a single topic through physical, digital, and real-world pathways, the curriculum ensures the logic is accessible, tested, and verified by every mind in the room. Now, a parent might look at this and ask a perfectly logical question. If a linguistic learner already understood fractions back at Phase 1, aren't these extra steps wasting time? The data says no. Exposing that same student to fractions again through cutting fruit and mapping animations acts as dynamic revision. It reinforces the original idea while building complementary neural pathways for long-term retention. The multimodal approach prevents cognitive loss, turning basic memorization into a more durable and functional form of comprehension. When you step back from fractions and look at the entire curriculum, a larger developmental philosophy emerges. This flowchart maps progression. It starts with raw knowledge, saying, "I understand." It bridges the gap to intelligence. I can think critically. Intelligence evolves into competency. I can apply this physically. Finally, the sequence culminates in wisdom, the capacity to make the right decision. This structured sequence targets the vulnerabilities of fragile memorization, converting academic data into tangible, real-life skills. By aligning the teaching method with how the human brain actually functions, the school creates multiple points of entry for every learner in the room. It shifts the focus from merely surviving an exam to building the specific practical competence required for life.
Admissions are in progress. Scholars School, futuristic and career-ready approach. Admissions are in progress.